Okay, for the next, I'm not sure how long, I'm going to be working on my hickory self bow. And this short little video is going to be about what I need to make a bow. What I need versus what helps and what makes life a little easier. The first thing you need one of these, which is a stave. This is a quarter of a tree. This happens to be sassafras. It is in the same family as osage and mulberry. If you make it wide, you don't need sinew, but when you narrow it down, you put sinew on there, and that is a fast bow. It's the sassafras is really good in compression. It's light, and then the sinew is really good in tension. So that makes an awesome shorter hunting bow. And I'll be making a bow out of that after I finish my hickory, which is that whitewood self bow. And you see, I've got 4 staves over there. I think I'm going to make one of them and trade for some rock. But anyways, things you need. You need a hatchet or a saw to chop the tree down. You don't need a big tree. You can actually use a tree as small as an inch. I mean, depending on your situation. But I like a 4 to 6 inch tree. It's not too heavy to carry out. It's not too big to deal with, and it's not too small. So you have a hatchet. This is a broken draw knife. You don't need that, but I like it because it scrapes really good. Now these 2 scrapers I made from one scraper. You go to Lowe's, Home Depot, they have these paint scrapers. This is a replacement blade. Saw it in half, and it gives you 2 blades. And then, come on, focus. Maybe it's my eyes. You sharpen this up real sharp, and then you roll the edge, and you get it until you feel a little burr on there. And you can use that to scrape. See, it makes that fine shavings. That's how you want to go making a bow. Very slow. And you want to have good lighting so you can see the grains. Now, this is a tool to measure the thickness. And I like it because I set it at the thinnest part, and then I can judge as I move it up that the handle end is thicker all the way to the tip end. That's the analog tools. Now you can get a little fancier and do that with a digital caliper. And once you start making bows, if you have, say you get a 12-inch diameter hickory tree, you split it into bow staves. You make one bow, and then you can measure, and you basically know the thicknesses you need to be at, so you can use your hatchet and rough it right down. Saves a lot of time shaving. And this is, the digital caliper is the same. It gets a little bit bigger. That micrometer only goes to an inch, but the caliper will go to 6. And on my bench, I have a wood clamp, so I don't mar stuff up. I have some hickory. See, if you want to see how big the tree was, this is how big the tree is. And this right here shows you why you split the tree. Because if I didn't split it, it would have random cracks for all this space of when the wood dried. And if you saw off one of these pucks and set it out where you dry your staves at, when it quits opening up and shrinking, then you know your wood's dry. And I use the pucks. I put one down to cushion the tip. And then I put various ones in the middle to cushion the handle. And then down at the tip again. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's some back set, which means bending the opposite way in my bow. And that is good. That back set, like say this bow comes out to 40 pounds. If I have 2 inches of back set, it will shoot the same as maybe if someone makes a bow with 1 inch of set or string follow. It'll shoot, say their bow's 50 pounds. My bow with the back set at 40 pounds will shoot the same or better than a bow at 50 pounds that has string follow. I do everything I can to avoid string follow. Go very slow. Do not put the bow on a tailoring stick until you're well tailored. You rack it up on a tailoring stick, you can put set in that you cannot take back out. So this is the introductory to bow making, and the next one's going to be me working a little bit. It's a lot of scraping. It's just, I'll take some video of scraping to show you, but it's a lot of scraping and just bending and scraping and bending. And I like having this set up because I can grab this tip and lift up on it and see where it's bending. Until I can get that to bend 3 or 4 inches without any tailoring board, I don't put it on a tailoring board. And, they come out. I hardly ever have string follow. And that's what you want. So, for now, we'll be back later. Alright, so we're going to show. I set my calipers. I find the thinnest part. Make sure I'm not turning them the wrong way. Okay, I find the thinnest part. And then as I move it down, I can see where I hit. So I know I take my lumber crayon, put a little mark, back off, come down to the tip. We're good, we're good, we're good. Put a little mark. Check in the middle. We're kind of good. So put a little mark. So, now what them marks show me is I need to take out wood here and here, but not there. Lumber crayons are better because they don't soak into the wood. Like if you use the black marker, it soaks in, and sometimes you don't have to take that much wood off. And so then you're left with them marks in there. But this just goes on the surface, and it helps. You can see when you've scraped all that color off, you've scraped, all the area evenly. It's kind of like making a lathe bed. So, be back. Alright, now this is the other way that you can work on your bow. Have my heater over there on. Surprisingly, it was 80 when I'm at work, but it's, on the weekends when I'm off, it's not. I have my measurer. Remember, I set this earlier. I come back through, and I'm still catching in the same spot. Still. So, from there to there, I can still see I got a little bit of remnants of the crayon. Crayon it up again. This is how I do most of my bow making, because I can see, and I hope you can see. Put it there, pin it against the wall or a tree, and my chest. And then I can pull back. These are the shavings I'm removing. I don't want to remove too much at once. And I can also use the light. I can see the grain, and I can see that there's a grain running up this side. Now, if you get a perfectly straight, perfect tree, you can see the different layers of the grain as they go down will form like little points pointing towards the tip. But this piece has a little bit of character to it, so I've got to work it individually. Do a lot of looking. And then if I want to see how it's bending, yeah, I can use the camera and I can look, I can turn like this. I can see that's bending pretty good. Still really strong. It's a little over 1/2 inch thick, which, you know, is pretty good. Most wood, if it's a hardwood, a 1/2 inch is going to give you a 40 to 50 pound bow. See, now I only have a wee little, I clear all. Let me put this down. You can see my measurer clears all the way, except for that one little spot. And I can actually see right here the grain. Now I can take my scraper, you can use a flint flake, you can use a knife, you can use an old spoke shave that's broke. Now, I'm not going to take this all the way down because there's a little thing in the grain right here. So we're going to leave a little bit of thickness until we get on the tailoring board. Now, I did fire harden this belly. Now, I'll try and show you. Hopefully you can see if the light's not too bright. You can see right here. Let me turn this around. You can see what I'm talking about, how the grains point. The grains point towards the tip. Closer, closer, closer. And the more you get out, the longer that. See, they're real short because it's thick. Longer, longer, longer. And then from this grain, there's 3 grains. And then one, and then the other one is clear out here. And then the other one's clear out here. So that's a visual cue that you're going even. Now we're going to take the other side. I'm not adjusting my calipers because I want this side to be the same thickness as the other side. So we'll take and we'll hook them up here. See that right there, knot hole. If you got a knot hole, you got to leave a little bit. Now we come down. There's where we hit our thickness of our other limb. And we're thin here. So we'll come back. And I can see it in the wood. I'm just going to mark it for you guys. Put a crayon. Come here, put a crayon, check in the middle. That's all really thick, so we can crayon this whole thing. And we'll come down. And right there, that's about where we are on the other limb. So we got to thin this one spot. And then I'll use my micrometer and I'll measure everything. But you don't have to do that. I have a 20-pound weight down there. And I can also hook my leg like that to hold the bow. And it allows me to see. And it also allows me to judge the bend. Okay. Now this limb is a little narrower than that limb, so it's going to be a tiny amount thicker. But that 0.5 inches is plenty. So we're still thick. Still thick. We're still thick the whole way. So now it dips over here, so I'm not really. One of them crayons costs like $2 and it lasts a long time. So to make a lot of bows. And I'll hook my leg back on there again. Alright. And this is all bow making is just scrape a little. Oh, we're almost there. We're still real, and you can see. I'm going to try and let you see. But if you keep everything clean, you can see, like I can see the island of the previous grain right here. So I really don't need to do all that marking and stuff. But I do it anyways, just to make sure I don't get carried away. And I can see the island there and here. So I know that I can still go more. And pin it in. You can hold this however you want. A lot of times if I'm outside and I'm doing stuff, I'll just lean it up against a tree and pin it in. And you're just scraping, so it doesn't take a lot of holding force. I can still see the island there, but I want to make sure. I want to double check myself. Because once if I go too far, then I have to lower the weight of the whole bow. And I definitely do not want to do that. Because I already... And you can also use charcoal, but charcoal will dull your scraper. And every once in a while, I change directions on my scraping. And that's the good thing about the little burr scraper. You really don't catch the grain very much. And when you're done with it, there's not a lot of sanding. Because sanding will change your bow too. We're there. Now remember, I got to make this a little thicker, so I'm just using my judgment call. And there's a little, you know, I still got that island right there, so I'm going to crayon that little spot. Now, I probably won't be able to actually show you, but the island is almost gone. We're going to leave that little bit of thickness for room to work with. And we're going to scrape down. We're going to scrape through here just a little bit because it's got a rough surface. So I want to smooth that out. So just some light scraping. Pin it with my leg. Now, a lot of guys like their bow absolutely flat. I like a very slight crown on the belly because it makes it easier when you get to final tailoring. You know, one of these scrapes final tailoring might be the difference. So now we'll go to our thinner side. Open up our measurer. Okay. And we'll just take a look. We got a measurement here. We'll just take a look. Here's the center of the handle. So my opposite point is around where my finger is. We're a little bit thinner, so we can thin this down just a bit. Put that there. Do some crayon. And I'm going to end the video because it's basically just doing that over and over and over for a few hours. And then when I get it on a tailoring or get it strung, when I get it strung, I'll come back. That'll be part 2. Okay. I've got a very long string on it now. And I don't think I can get far enough away for you to actually see. But I got a very long string on it. And what I do is I don't string it. Do not string it at this point. What I do is I give some little pulls. And I look. Let me see if I can get it up to where you can see. But I can see how it's bending. And I can get an idea of the weight. Now the reason I don't string it, if you string it, right now this is probably like a 100-pound bow. So if I string it, it's going to take a 100-pound bow set. But what I want to do is see my bottom limb is bending way more than my top limb. So I know I can take some off. And now that I have this string on, I just roll it around so that it's out of the way, scrape some, put it back on, do it again. That's how I get my initial rough tiller. And my bows don't come out with a lot of set. Usually they come out 0 set or less than ½ an inch. And if I try real hard to get a good board, I have an inch or 2 of back set. But this is going to be a nice bow. So I got to scrape this top limb because it's a lot stiffer than the bottom limb. I'll catch you later, and I'm going to wrap this video up for today. One more thing I wanted to say. Both of my limbs are bending pretty even, like they have a good parabolic arc, but the top one is a lot stronger than the bottom. So I want to scrape this down evenly. So what I do is I crayon the whole top limb from the fades out. Take off that one thin layer, the whole way, pull it 5 or 6 times, relax it, pull it again, and see if they match. Once they match, then in order to get the draw weight, you do the whole limb. It's really easy once you get them matched. So, have a great Easter, and if you're viewing this after Easter, just have a great day. All right, now I've done a little bit more tillering, and I like my method because I hold the bow in my hand how I would be holding it, and I draw how I would be drawing, and I look, and I'm totally even from here down. So I got to thin this tip a little bit, and then start getting them both to draw weight. Set it on my blocks. I still have my 2 inches of back set, and I'm actually drawing enough bend now to where I could actually string it if I wanted to. But I don't string it until I get more than brace height. So, time for me to go eat. I'll talk to you later.